Let's just get started, shall we?
Do it.
All right. Weeksauce, number 11. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Get ready to kick off your week with Weeksauce. And if you enjoy this show, find more podcasts like it over at amove.tv. Greetings and welcome back, everybody. It's time to kick off your week with Weeksauce. I'm Garrett Weinzierl. He's Kyle Ferguson. And we're back. We got a new logo, Kyle.
We do.
Like
Looks
a prop,
nice.
like
Well done.
Yeah, like a proper one, not like a not so subtle middle finger to a certain hot sauce company.
Again, they were so nice about it.
You can be as nice as you want. You're,
I mean, it is interesting. I mean, people have also suggested other hot sauce logos at us. It seems that Sriracha isn't quite as protective, or they are willing.
I'm not sure how they can. Logo? I'm not sure how they can be. There's about 75 fonts on a bottle of Sriracha.
Still beats most health food labels. Those things, like essential oils. Oh my God, they have so much writing on them.
Yeah, a lot of them looks like you accidentally put the nutritional information on the front of your product.
Yeah, but they're very proud of it, so I guess I understand.
Yeah, I get that. I guess. You've been eating a lot of healthy organic products, sir?
Yes, I have. It's well, we're coming up on a cruise in 3 weeks, so everything's back to veggies and the essentials.
So you're trying to get ahead of it. You're trying to eat a bunch of, I'm assuming, like leaves and twigs now, so that when you're faced with 24/7 access to pizza, you can give into it a little bit.
The problem is, though, you end up adapting to those foods. Like, as a child, healthy food is just a delay until your next candy. But as an adult, your body goes like, oh, this is off. Oh, this is what we do all the time now. Okay, settings are set. And you go, no, that's not what I meant. And then you eat a candy bar and it's like, oh, can't process.
I guess it probably says something about the how healthy I eat, that hasn't really happened to me.
Well, just don't ever stop not eating healthy. And then you won't have to deal with the pain that is eating a real carrot for the first time and have your stomach reject this new matter.
Weeksauce would like to point out that you should not take this advice to heart.
No. In fact, you should put yourself in pain. It's just when it comes to food, it's been so rough because I'm allergic to so many different things. I'm lactose intolerant, and the more I move away from these things that upset me, like nuts and corn syrup, the more sensitive my body becomes, and it's just lame.
Your inability to process it becomes even greater.
Right, and yeah, it's responsible, but increasing in lameness daily.
The one that is depressing me is that pork has become a coin flip.
Yeah.
It will either have no effect on me at all or knock me out for half a day.
Yeah, and the best thing I found for me is the blood type diet stuff, and they're all kind of hokey because every diet is sort of its own fad, whether or not it's actual or not. People get bored. People get really bored of their current diets and look for something new. So, almost every single system out there has legitimacy. It's just extra amped up and crazy because we're all so bored. But the blood type diet was the one that got me originally going on this. And that's basically your blood type is where you're from. And where you're from didn't have that food really. So therefore, you should probably pass on it. So cow milk products weren't part of my ancestral homeland. But goats were. And I can have goat cheese all I want without ever feeling awful.
Huh. That sounds hokey as hell to me.
It is. It is pretty hokey.
But if it works, I can't argue with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't even know my blood type off the top of my head.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Doesn't really come up.
No, it's probably then like an AB or something, because people aren't all feral for it.
I usually have at least 2 blood tests a year. I'm sure I could just pull up a piece of paper somewhere and find that.
I gotta know. Every time I walk by a bus, the doors fly open. You can hear them sniffing the air. I'm like, no, I'm anemic. I need it. And they're chasing me with the needles.
I would just start wrapping a bandage around my arm. Like, no, I just gave.
Oh,
I just gave.
So much blood.
In all seriousness, though, you probably should give blood if you are able.
If you do not have a lack of blood, you should give some away.
Despite my childhood belief that it was a racket by vampires, give blood. Give blood.
But that was the whole plot of what, Blade 2?
I don't remember. I don't like those movies.
Blade 1 was the one with the shower heads and the fat one with the flashlight.
I liked 3 solely because I am shamelessly drawn to anything with Ryan Reynolds in it. And then I realized I could just watch the new Deadpool, and it's more of what I like from Blade 3.
He was the werewolf, right?
No, he was just a dude with swords.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was also I can't remember the actress that was in that movie as well, but it was basically just a really weird product placement for iPod.
I mean, Blade 3 was weird anyway. And then he fought Dracula. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know why I don't care for that, but I got sucked into Underworld. They're both a little too, like, new metal for me. They all kind of just look like a Linkin Park video.
That's true. But I feel like without Gandalf, we're all just kids running around in the forest like idiots. And when they messed with, not Wesker, was that his name? No. The
You're
old
thinking
guy.
Resident Evil.
Away. He has an old guy that makes his stuff for him.
Oh, yeah, man, I don't remember.
But anyway, you got to have those defining moments. Bill Knightley in the original Underworld.
Oh, Nighy?
Nighy, yes.
Yeah. Davy Jones, as I just like to call him.
Exactly. Yeah. Gave that movie, like when he showed up, everyone running around, girls hissing on the ceiling in our high heels and whatnot. Like it's all fine because there's an old person here to tell us it's okay. Same thing with both the parent actors in the Thor movies. Like they show up and they're classy and they're trained actors, and you're like, oh.
Oh, so you're saying you can have a complete cavalcade of bogus cheese and it's sold as long as there is an old wizard among everyone.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
I believe it was
from Morpheus.
According to IMDb, it was Chris Christopherson as Whistler.
Whistler. Okay, cool.
Yep. So there you go, Kyle. There you go. The Zorro movies did that with Anthony Hopkins too. Yeah, you're right. That's a tropey trope.
Yeah. But you need it. Otherwise, it just comes off silly.
Have you been watching Blade? Is that why it's on your mind, or?
No, that's a kind of like Conan and all those sort of action movies of that type. It's something I end up on when I'm sick.
That's a good one. Oh man, Conan is hard for me to watch. I didn't see it when I was young, so just nothing. Nothing for that works for me. Interesting.
I didn't see it when I was young either, and in fact, I didn't like Schwarzenegger movies much when I was younger. But there's a slowness to it that I think is the same sort of thing in Road Warrior, where you just want to see what's in someone's pockets when he's exploring the cave and finds the sword. And the whole snake cult thing is so twisted and told without words for the most part. Not some people can be like, Predator's a silent movie, it's a piece of art. I'm like, it's badass is what it is. And I love Predator. So
yeah, I was definitely a Schwarzenegger kid growing up, not a Stallone guy. But
that's it, right? Like you saw other movies, you saw maybe even True Lies, and if you go from like True Lies back to Conan, like you're watching a high school production.
Yes, yeah. I think my first introduction to Schwarzenegger was Terminator 2, and then I moved into things like Predator and True Lies. even more ridiculous things like Jingle All the Way, which I contend is a legitimately funny movie.
That makes a lot of sense then. Because Terminator 2, he's good by then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's probably his best movie.
Yeah, it's not like the one I think he'd want you to say is his best. There's probably one he really acted his butt off of, and it may be something like Sixth Day, something we don't like. Because he probably worked really hard on that thing.
Oh, and Total Recall. I just got to throw it out there because I would feel bad if I didn't mention Total Recall. That was a big staple of growing up as well. One of those movies you see when you're probably too young to see it.
Total Recall is tainted for me, and it's sad. One of the guys in my improv troupe in college came to us and was like, guys, I did. And we're like, what'd you do? He's like, I signed us up for the student movie theater to do a riff track over the top of Total Recall, guys. Woo! And I'm the troupe leader, and I'm like, we need to start practicing right away. Who's seen this movie before? And so I started hosting viewings at my house, and it's an improv troupe in college. Like, only a fourth of the troupe ever shows up, the dedicated ones, and they show up over and over and over again. I'm trying to get the guy who signed us up to be there to watch this darn movie so we can riff tracks it and come up with the script for it. And just, oh man, I saw it so many times. And then we did in front of the audience, and it was just awkward as hell.
Did you have open disdain for everything about your college experience at the time, or did the distance from graduation make this disdain grow on you? Because every time you talk about you throw out it's college improv troupe, like every time you throw that out, the way you say it is just like, oh, it's crap.
Well, it was. I mean, there were some funny, like we had a fabulous sketch where we had a Dracula on a skateboard. And so in order for him to float around, he had his cape out, and we were on a skateboard with a rope. It was very dangerous, He's standing on a skateboard with a rope around his waist, and we're pulling him across the stage so he can do the float-on thing for the Halloween show. Like, I mean, there were great moments. In particular, my favorite thing we did as a troupe was the year wrap-up for the theater department. We would do basically a mashup of all the theater shows that they chose to run, and be the teachers or the characters, and basically have a big kind of airplane sort of rundown of the whole thing.
Well, that's good. I always find it funny. I do the same thing. Like anytime I think of art students, I'm just like, bad vegan food that they're trying to sell is good. I've had good vegan food. The kind I had in art school was not it. And everyone just a little too into sniffing their own farts, basically.
The worst part is the farts were being sniffed without any responsibility for them. Every single thought I had during college is subject because I didn't understand money or really how anything actual works.
Yeah, no.
I was learning to do things for myself. I should have known that in high school, but I'm glad we had this pre-adult college stepping stone for someone sheltered like me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you understand. You have an understanding of money very quickly after exiting college.
Yeah.
But right before it, no. I feel like if you're going to go into college, it should be a year before college where you just make what your payments would be before you decide if you're going to go.
Yeah.
Or to adjust the school you're going to attend via, the monetary monolith that you will be taking on.
It's tough. I understand it too, though, because, it is a stress, and it is something that my parents wanted to protect me from. But at the end of the day, I was going, please, I need perspective.
Yes, yeah. I overall, I still think it was a very positive thing, and I'm glad that I did it. But, oh boy, I've got opinions. Well, I'm glad you brought up improv, Kyle, because I got to get a little of what I assume is improv on this weekend. I've returned to our tabletop roleplay campaign for the first time since we figured it out. We haven't met since August.
Wow.
Yeah, we took a break, man. We took a break.
You finally got to get to the base I've known about since August, if not earlier.
Oh, I'm so glad that Ben, our DM, let you in on that, because I had no clue.
What?
I did not get that that's the direction he was taking us. I was like inching my way through what turned out to be our new base very slowly because we almost died moments before, and I did not want to almost die again or actually die. So I was like, you bring a predator, just slowly gun drawn, inching my way through this old Clone Wars base. We're playing a Star Wars Edge of the Empire and all of its expansions campaign, for those of you wondering what system we're using.
That is fair. And you got to watch out for that trauma on your players. You can't go expecting them. We had this problem in Divinity last night. The fights have gotten to the end. The game goes to about 25 level. We're 21, so it's wrapping up. And they've all been mechanical nightmares. And understanding like what you're supposed to do, how destroying this, sarcophagus stops the thing from respawning, kind of stuff. And then they put us in a normal fight, and we're completely paranoid, and destroying random crap in the corners, going, maybe this will make them res, get rid of it.
Meanwhile, it's just a seashell.
Yeah, it's just a normal fight, but they taught us wrong, game.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, we could have gone in a completely different order. Ben, our DM, was definitely leading us towards a planet and not the broken bottom chunk of a Clone Wars era Star Destroyer. And I saw that planet. I saw that planet with the distress signal. I'm like, as you always say, that's bait. That's bait. Let's go to the Star Destroyer. It turns out, nope, the Star Destroyer was where certain death awaited, and the planet was totally safe.
Have you guys, what level are you on now? How deep are you into it?
I don't think there are levels in it.
Right, it's like a point system.
Yeah,
I guess.
there are just all kinds of talent trees, and depending on what you picked, you can explore a lot of them. I'm a Force user, so there are way too many talent trees for me to potentially look at.
Yeah, the talent trees in Edge of the Empire are a bit WoW vanilla in that they aren't all the most crazy awesome thing in the world.
No, there's a lot of fluff you need to make it through. Although a lot of the fluff along the way ends up giving you base stats once you're about halfway through a talent tree, which is always good in a game like this.
Yeah, and with my doctor I played in our campaign for Edge of the Empire a bit, it was increasing my effectiveness of my spells, basically. My heals, my Baka usage.
Bacta?
Bacta, yeah.
Yeah, those are the tank that Luke is in the beginning of Empire. That's a Bacta tank.
A bit too universal,
Yeah. And honestly, that's probably the thing that bores me the most is when it just kind of augments an existing ability. The ones that seem dull, if they actually end up increasing base stat, add a die to your roll, and that's when I get stoned. I'm like, oh, I get another die? Hell yeah!
There's in 5.0 Dungeons and Dragons, there's a really great system called Advantage, and I have been loving it. It's a little uncouth. It kind of has a tradition problem in my head. Basically, if you have advantage, you roll 2d20s and get to pick whichever one's higher. And if you're rolling with disadvantage, you roll 2d20s and pick whatever is lower. The reason I have a problem with this in any way is because you're holding 2d20s at once. You should only have one sacred d20 because that's your baby, that's your man, and you're number one. But the fact is, the chance to hit is so much higher, and the chance to do cool stuff, like when I'm raging as Vorel the Lizardman, I get to roll 2 dice, having a very, very high chance to accomplish what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. My character came online, man. I figured it out.
Nice.
I'm playing like a barbarian warrior in a Star Wars setting. Once I figured that out, I'm having so much more fun.
That's great.
Yeah. I just because when I first started this character, I kind of thought of him as like a barroom brawler. Like when things hit the fan at the cantina, instead of like drawing fast and shooting somebody, maybe he flips the table over and beats you with the leg of the chair. And I just didn't play him that way for like our first year of this campaign. And then we got into rather mortal danger against, if anyone remembers the kind of ninja assassin battle droids from the Clone Wars series. We got attacked by 6 of those things.
Oh, damn.
And our DM knows all of us have seen the entire Clone Wars, so we walk into this room. I just played my character as freaked out that he found these things, and I just ran up to one of them and shot it, which activated the whole group. They came back to life, and so I'm in melee range, and I was like, screw it, I'm just going to run with it. I'm just going to beat these things to death with whatever's around, and it totally worked out, and it was the most fun I've had with this character so far.
Nice. My optimization brain is screaming at my barbarian as well, because I'm always doing horribly unoptimized damage. I have a bite attack, which does 1d6. I've got fists, and if I'm throwing stuff, it's usually a 1d4. And if I pick up a damn battle axe, a great axe, it's a 1d12, but it's really cool to jump somebody and then, as you say, use a table leg. Yeah.
It was fun. I ended up offing the final one with the head of one of his fallen compatriots. I just smashed its droid head in with another droid's head.
That's fantastic to hear, man. I think those are the toughest characters, are the ones where you go in and your whole plan is to be a character, a cool guy, perhaps. And I think the cool guy syndrome is the most difficult to break.
I had too much of an everyman in my head, and everyman work for fiction because you need an entry point for your audience, but there is no audience for this. We are all players in it. So when you play kind of a generic milquetoast type character, it's not fun.
No, and I think if I were to give people out there, my first big piece of advice for making a character would be hit things. Reduce your damage when you're creating your character, whatever it takes. Just make sure your attacks hit, because if you miss all your attacks and all your rolls, you're going to have a bad time. That's just unfun.
Yeah.
So have rolls you're good at. Next is to say yes to all the random stuff. When someone's like, well, hey, traveler, you go, well, I know you. And the DM goes, we do? And you go, yeah. And then you roll with that. And even simple choices like that will just build and build into a character that actually exists in the world.
Yeah. So now I'm really digging it. And by the end of this, now we have a base of operations with a functioning hangar. There were about 6 starfighters in there, all Clone Wars era. We've managed to salvage 2 of them into somewhat flyable starfighters. So we've got starfighters in addition to our what the hell was... I can't even remember what the hell the name of the ship is, but it's the one from Shadows of the Empire. It's like a mini Millennium Falcon.
I don't know the name of it, but not the ones that revealed in there that have the wings that fold out, which did become rather famous.
No, this is like just a smaller Falcon design. It's a YT something. YT 2400. All right, thank you, Wikipedia. Thank you. So we've got that. We've got 2 starfighters. It's gonna be fun. I'm actually really excited for our next ship fight, because for a year now, all of our ship fights have taken place with all of us in the same ship.
That's pretty cool. I always get mad nervous when it comes to bases and role-playing games, because usually that means you're pretty deep into it and life's about to grab hold and take it away.
I'm okay with that.
In that case, it's been high school graduation, college graduation, all these various steps. Nowadays, we're adults and maybe not moving every 4 years. But I guess what I'm saying is it takes about a year to get your team to their first base as a dungeon master. And that's when things can start to fall apart schedule-wise.
Gotcha. Well, we're just coming back from our schedule falling apart. So maybe it's a good time to establish a base.
Yeah. Poor Ben. He's probably had that thing written out for a year and a half.
He has, since August. Since he talked to me. He had this. He painted this beautiful illustration. I mean, Ben also does freaking Star Wars art as part of his contract work as a illustrator. But he made just a piece from scratch just for our campaign of this awesome looking abandoned Clone Wars base. And I looked at him like, oh, I thought I just assumed it was something that he did for freelance. And nope, he did it completely from scratch. So dude's a boss. I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna take a quick break as Kyle needs to take a break. So I'm just gonna pause the recording here and say hello, chat room. How are you all doing today? Mostly just see Kilmernock right now. That's what I see. I'm glad that you saw it on the Twitter there. I might go grab myself a drink if Kyle's gone. Let's find some music, and also do be right back. Yeah. We're gonna do that. I shall return momentarily.
I'm back early. Yes.
I'm just wolfing down some pretzels.
Sweet.
And got myself a drink.
Nice. I did kill, yeah. I saw it a year ago, I think. A long, long time ago.
Oh, the art?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been a year. He did it shortly after our previous session in August.
It feels like a year ago then.
Does.
I have no concept of time.
No. Where did we leave off? What point was I making? We're gonna take a quick break. Dude's a boss. Oh, I was just talking about how awesome Ben is.
Yeah.
All right. Let's fire this back up and say, yeah, I walked away from this session just wanting to play more of it almost immediately.
That's healthy.
Yeah. Also, we realized it's been about a year. Actually, it has been a year. Last week was 1 year since you and Kristen were visiting, and we had you guys sit in on a session.
No!
Yeah.
That's been a year too.
Yeah. So we need to make that happen again, is my point.
Oh, I love getting to play D20. He's a great android. Or just droid in that universe. Medical droid sniper. Love that guy.
it was very fun. We established quite a few running themes with our group in that one session.
Running, as in in motion, or what? What I'm curious to know. I know it probably won't make a lot of sense, but what themes did you guys decide during that game?
So that was the same session where we ended up having a speeder chase in a speeder that was essentially the 18 van that we just stole from a thug, and had a chase scene on like down the roof, the descending roofs of essentially a Star Wars version of a favela, where we had a sweet jump that Katie, who was plays an ace driver, a Lenin, if you're familiar with that species in Star Wars, she made the sickest roll, and so she proceeded to make this ridiculously long jump across two buildings. So Ben at that point turns on Sabotage by the Beastie Boys on the playlist that was currently just playing kind of nonchalant Star Wars music. And so since then, our adventures have taken a bit of a Fast and the Furious turn, which has made it very fun. Sabotage is the theme song for our crew. And all that has kind of followed us.
Nice.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a bit. So last week when someone uploaded to YouTube the Solo trailer overdubbed with Sabotage, our group was just linking it to each other, being like, "Oh, this is pretty on brand."
Interesting. That's quite the group to unleash that sort of stuff upon. How is, in general, your Star Wars group feeling about Solo?
We all are excited for it except for the guy playing Solo. We had a very long, unfiltered conversation about how we hate his voice this weekend. It's terrible. I hate it, Kyle. I hate his voice. He's not even trying. He's not even trying.
I bet you he's trying way too hard.
Yeah, I wish Ben was here, because Ben and I were having this kind of heated Solo conversation over a couple of cocktails, and he's like, part of me is wondering, and I'm horribly summarizing here his own words, and that's why I just wish he was here with us. But basically, he's like, well, do you have him do an impression of Harrison Ford as Han Solo, or do you just have him do his own thing? I'm like, no, you have him do an impression. That's the one thing you're supposed to be doing, is trying a little bit to sound like the character.
Yeah, the problem is anytime anyone does a Harrison Ford impression, it comes out sounding like, "Hey, Peter," from Family Guy.
Okay, a little bit. I'll give you that. It's just, man, the tone, the note of his voice is just so off. It's what, a decade before A New Hope. So like, my other thing is like, what I don't get it. I don't understand how his voice changes so much. Does he smoke a pack a day for the rest of his life? Does he go through puberty at 26? Like, what happens? I'm confused.
Yeah, I mean, in general, though, the trailer is my least favorite kind of trailer. I actually didn't want to see Kill Bill at all because of that. In the trailer, it does that. Did you really think this would be it? And you know what? Gung, gung. Yeah, gung, gung.
Fair enough.
Did. And I'm just like, oh, gross. Every time, just gross. That is one level below making all the characters say the character's name. I hate that trailer even more. Aladdin, it's Aladdin. Just even worse if it's like a puppy movie, like a freaking animal like that found love. Marley. Oh my God.
All right, that's fair. I mean, for me, the Solo trailer, well, teaser, really, it was interesting because the one that came out during the Super Bowl, which had no lines from Solo, I had a few, but none of them were synced up to him actually talking. And it was very sparse with actual lines from Han. I thought worked a lot better. I was really stoked for the movie after seeing that trailer. And then the next day we get the longer teaser and we see multiple scenes where Alden is speaking lines on camera, and it just fell really flat for me.
It's also the order of which you present those things. By putting it up on the Super Bowl in a shortened version, you're saying, we're not willing to pay the amount needed to show you the real version. Here, the next day, check out the bummer version of what we were unwilling to show.
I didn't take it that way at all. But, I mean, if anyone has the money, it's Star Wars. I think it was just a publicity stunt of like, here's a little bit, and tomorrow you're still going to be talking about it because here's a second trailer. That's how I took it. They have all the money. They have more money than God. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure once I go see the movie, I don't think it's going to bother me as much. I think like anything, even like this happens to me with Marvel movies. I think their CG is kind of bad. Like Marvel movie CG isn't particularly great, but when I'm in it and I'm watching it, I don't really think about it. About 10 minutes in, I just become acclimated to what I'm watching, and I think,
and the people are reacting to it. But I agree with you. 100%. Like so many cartoons, if you pause them, the art is awful. I mean, there's a classiness about old Disney movies, but if you pause that without them being in motion, some of those aren't art pieces anymore. They are blobs.
No, not at all. We've been watching Dragon Ball Super. It's the same thing there. There seems to be a wide range of the quality of the drawings in Super right now.
Yeah, in old animes, you could really, because you didn't have the computer standardizing a lot, you could be like, oh man, are we finally getting to that? No, they got the bad artist for this one. This isn't story episode. Some fart off thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm still looking forward. I honestly, I'm looking more forward to Solo after our session this weekend because I realized I think the first half of that movie is basically going to play out like one of our campaign sessions.
Yeah,
it looks like it's very much going to be kind of at least a portion of it, like a street level, almost car movie in a Star Wars in a Star Wars setting. And I love car movies.
It'll have that stuff. It could spawn a good line of toys, and if that could be all that's needed. But no one wants to invest in it right now emotionally. Yeah. I think we're all kind of expecting it to not be great. Which might mean we all come out of it being like, "Oh, that was really fun," because I was expecting it to offend my ancestors. But we'll have to see. I mean, I am the most one of the most apologetic human beings on earth when it comes to Star Wars, and even I am looking at Solo being like, "Man, I don't know." It's a shame that we can't sort of swap powers across the various new movies. Like for me, Rogue One is a story that didn't need to be told, but it had really good casting. And now we're looking at Han Solo going, is this a better story, but the casting is off? Can we switch these two out?
Yeah, it's fun. I'm hoping for Rogue One. That's where I hope Solo lands, because I liked Rogue One, but it's not. I don't rave about it. Like if you don't like or you're indifferent to Star Wars, Rogue One is not what I bring up to sell it.
No,
and it never will be.
That is not how you convince people.
No, not at all. Like if you were talking to me and you're like, man, I really like funny robots, then I'm like, oh, have I got a movie for you? You should watch Rogue One. But beyond that, I can't think of a scenario where that's a movie I recommend. I still really enjoyed it. It still hit a lot of things I always wanted from a Star Wars movie. I wanted a Star Wars movie that didn't revolve around space wizards. I got that with Rogue One. It's looking like I'll probably get something very similar with Solo.
Yeah.
But again, very, very personal desires there that don't necessarily speak to the quality of the movie overall.
Well, it's entertainment after all.
Yeah. You still playing Slay the Spire?
I am. I think I may have finally burned myself out a bit on it. I really, I would even say 3 hours a night all last week. Had at this thing. It is, like I said, not pretty. You look over someone's shoulder, you catch someone streaming this. One, they're going too damn fast. Like they're just like flick, 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 and flick, 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 because they know exactly what order and everything they want to do things in. But the artifacts you get, the relics that affect the way you play your deck, much like the kind of all death rattles trigger twice, kind of Kobold's Catacombs kind of. Are those items? Wondrous items?
There's the treasures?
Yeah, the treasures, the passives.
Yeah.
Really complicate the game a lot. Like there's one called Confused. And if you become confused, all your cards, every time you draw them, the costs are randomized. So if you get that relic early on, you know what you're getting, and you can take all the crazy expensive cards, knowing that at least they'll cost less than the most expensive price. And it's a really, really complicated, really enjoyable game, but there's not that many enemy types. There's only 3 acts, and they pulled a darn finger on me where they didn't let me beat the game. I beat it, but then they're like, you have done X amount of damage to the core. You need to do more damage to pop it, and maybe there's a boss fight, or I don't know. I don't look these things up.
So, I mean, are you annoyed because you know how many more times it's going to take, or are you annoyed because you don't know how many more times it's going to take?
Yeah, I have no idea. It's a point scale of some kind. Like my warrior dude did 600 damage. My rogue lady did 500 damage. So I definitely won better with the armor guy, but I don't know how long that's gonna go on. I feel betrayed when games do this to me, particularly like Darkest Dungeon. It didn't do anything wrong. That was actually an ending. I got to the end. I beat the final boss. It was dramatic. The voiceover guy came in and told me all about how amazing I was. And then it was like, NG+, bro. There's still NG+. And I'm like, don't tell me that now. Like program it in your game so when I come back in a month, it's like, dude, last time you were here, you beat the game. You want to try it again harder? And I'd be like, wow, what a cool expansion feature. Thank you. But telling me when I beat the game, that's just freaking rude.
Well, I'm sorry you're dealing with that, Kyle.
Unless it's been there the whole, like shooters, you know, they don't even let you pick hard, then you beat it once and you're like, oh, that was decent. And you see the other level and you go, okay, cool. Like Doom.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. I can understand your aversion to that tactic.
Yes, but Slay the Spire, I mean, for the price, I think $12 on Steam. Holy crap. And that and They Are Billions just really, really showing the power of what is it Greenlight still? No, it's something else now. Early access, I guess.
Yeah.
Steam game can be.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for tomorrow, man. Tomorrow, Into the Breach comes out from the creators of FTL.
Oh, yes. That's what people were. Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Tomorrow. It's tomorrow, man. Reviews are coming out, and they are strong.
Yeah, I'm
Not that
hearing...
it matters. I would have bought it anyway.
I'm hearing that it is being a tactics game, much like Slay the Spire. It is easily backseatable, so a lot of streamers are very excited about its release, but also kind of prepping themselves for defense mode.
Oh, to ignore or defend their decisions?
Right, well, it's a math game, you know, and you attack for 3 and it has 4 and you go, crap. And yeah, we all do this and it's fine. But when you're online, you see the chat go by and the scroll of math, you suck at it. And it's a tough one. I think that's why people often play such high skill, high variance competitive games, and while people are arguing about drafting or whatever else, it still means we can avoid that base level of trollage.
Yeah, I say just you either A, just need to be right all the time and avoid that, B, own it and just be like, it's just me, I'm kind of dumb, enjoy, or C, don't stream a game like that.
Well, and the only reason I bring it up is because my Twitter is full of streamers now, and that's their number one concern. It's not that I'm not hearing Into the Breach, I can't wait for tomorrow, how fun that'll be. It's more like, Into the Breach, I really want to play it tomorrow, but I hope you all don't get crazy mad at me.
Sounds like a audience issue.
That could be too.
Could be maybe look at the type of people you're catering to.
Well, there hasn't been the Overwatch for this year yet, you know, in a lot of ways. And I think there's a lot of lost streamers out there tired of their previous game. And when you're looking at content creation, I think a lot of it comes down to asking yourself that really tough question: can I do this for as long as that career will take me? And a lot of the games, like Hearthstone, for me, I just say I'm casual. I cannot occupy in this mental space for an extended period of time. A MOBA is very different to me. A strategy game feels infinite. But I think a lot of people sign themselves up to be full-time in games that just don't have that legacy.
That's, I think, some really solid advice, dude. But I'm excited for it. I don't stream games pretty much ever for this very reason. Any game. I just want it to stay fun. I want it to stay a vaguely personal experience unless I'm playing with other people I have chosen to play with. Nothing against streaming. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
For now. Maybe that'll change. I don't know. But whatever the case is, I have a question for you, Kyle.
Yes.
Are you excited for a Witcher television show? You can just stop there. I have my answer.
I'm just why are we doing this? I get it. Like, but I don't think you land that. Like, can you imagine taking the Batman voice actor? What's his face?
Kevin Conroy?
Like, yeah, it looks like a cross between like Willem Dafoe and a less creepy tall guy.
I would say Willem Dafoe and your favorite guy serving you ice cream at the local parlor.
Okay, yeah. A villainous ice cream attendant. You can see him in the paper hat and all.
I would say he looks like a nicer Willem Dafoe. If Willem Dafoe didn't just look like he's a villain.
Well, one of my favorite stories about... what you just said his name. What was his name? I've caught you drinking.
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, my favorite thing about Kevin Conroy is the idea that after 9/11, he went and worked in one of the kitchens that was supplying food to all these people that were forced out of their homes and whatnot. And he was yelling from the back Batman lines because the crowd was so excited that Batman was serving them lunch.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But you can't take him and put him in a Batman suit and call it done. And I don't know in what reality you get a white-haired... I mean, he's old at least, but like there's a problem with white hair on a younger guy. It just doesn't look good in most aspects.
I feel like they did it with Lucius Malfoy pretty well.
That's fair. That's fair, actually.
I think there's a length issue. I think if it's so long that you can't see where it attaches to the head, it's an easy thing to sell. Geralt, however, he has that shit pulled back.
Yeah, not hanging down in his face and whatnot. It's. I tried two. I really did. In fact, I was talking about that around the holidays on this show, how much I was trying to get into two, and it wasn't bad. 3 was just something real special, and I think the interactiveness of it is what made it special. I'm mildly interested in the show only because my counter argument to that, Kyle, is they built a very strong world. The world with which The Witcher inhabits is so well fleshed out. And that's a setting I would watch in any other circumstance. If I was not already familiar with The Witcher, I would be very excited about this prospect just from a world building side of things. And this is being done by Netflix?
It is. It's being written by Lauren S. Hisrich. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but she's also written for a bunch of the Marvel Netflix shows and The West Wing. They're also working with the company that did the intro cinematic for The Witcher 3. That just dope-ass intro cinema where Geralt is trying to search for Yennefer, and it's this back and forth of Geralt finding like a clue and then it's showing what actually happened.
Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah, so they are working with that. Apparently it's a Polish company, Platige Films. Platige?
Makes
I don't
sense.
know. But yeah, I mean that's interesting. But I mean, again, it's gonna, how does it all jive? Because I'm assuming this is live action and not entirely cinematic.
I mean, one of the real triumphs of the Witcher series was its localization and how small the team was, and that they included people from their local area, from their local language as well, to make this game. It was done, compared to EA, wildly under budget. And the amount of content produced and the streamline of that content as made so there was no going back really. Once things were done, they were done because it was all done by one team, and the story could really hold throughout every single side quest because that director kept control.
Yeah, but also I think we're retreading from the last time we mentioned The Witcher 2. I mean, there were a lot of stories that came out after Witcher 3 kind of wrapped from people who worked on it that clearly put more effort into it than they were paid for.
Sure.
To the point of exhaustion, but
it was beautiful.
Yes, and it was. It's quite possibly the best game ever made, in my opinion.
I mean, it's a triumph. And my fear with a TV show is you gotta fart around for a bit. Like every show, it's always stronger to fart off. And Avatar did it. Probably one of my favorite examples because, hey, let's go penguin sledding. Like, if that's your opening episode, you're just like, crap, what are we even doing here? But there was a hint at darkness and a reason to keep watching. And Game of Thrones had that in season 1, but dangled that for too long. I mean, will they dangle the Wild Hunt out in front of us? Will they dangle Ciri? Will they... How fast are they? It's a Netflix, so I know it'll move pretty fast, which is comforting. But yeah. That's my main concern.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just the voice. It's Geralt's voice. I'm back to Han Solo all over again. I just hope he sounds like Geralt.
And even Geralt messes it up quite a bit in the game. There are scenes where he's like, hey, kid. And then he'll be like, hey, kid. And you're like, whoa, you forgot the gruff.
Fair enough. I guess that's fair.
Can't blame him, though. Oh, my God. Apparently, the Maiev voice actress was dying. Can't do it for 2 hours more at a time.
Okay. Yeah. Be careful what you get good at, I guess, is the cautionary tale there. That was something I had multiple professors in art school tell us. Like, be careful what you get good at. Like, if you get really good at painstaking pen and ink drawings, I hope you like doing that.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get hired to do it a lot.
That's fair.
Yeah. Whereas if you'd rather, be like a splatter paint artist, you're probably going to hate doing something like that.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like, working on Diablo. You got to have safe search off, I guess, because you're artists, and you got to look up what an exploded cow looks like. But if you're like, oh, I don't want to, and then the whole time you're drawing like the intestines, you're like, oh no.
I feel like Blizzard is referential enough, not self-referential enough. They'd probably just go watch John Carpenter movies.
Probably.
So at least there's one degree of separation. It's like, I'm pretty sure someone on a John Carpenter movie probably did go and actually look at exploded corpses. I'll just look at his fake work and derive off of that.
That's true. Maybe they run a seminar every year on being healthy with Diablo.
And I could be wrong. For my own sanity, that's what I like to believe is their process. But yeah. Also, for my own sanity, I'm very happy. Kevin Smith almost died last night, and I'm very glad he didn't.
I saw that, and it was a dramatic, complete blockage of his heart.
Yeah, his tweet mentions 100% blockage of his LAD artery, and he said had he not canceled a show to go to the hospital, he would have died.
Damn.
Yeah. So, I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. I'm glad he's not dead.
He's lost a lot of weight too.
Yeah,
surprising to hear.
Yeah, he has. But I mean, there's so many possible things that could go into that. I'm not even going to speculate because I'm not a doctor and I don't know Kevin Smith well enough.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But that's just the kind of thing. I got up this morning, had my coffee, I'm checking my Twitter feed, and I'm like, holy shit, Kevin Smith almost died. I'm not ready to live in a Kevin Smithless world, I guess is what I'm getting at. I don't even listen to his podcast really. I know he's a prevalent podcaster now, but I'm pretty much strictly a film fan of his.
Well, and he's a film fan himself, so it's kind of, once you get into films, and you watch those again outside of the. I struggle to call what was the Jay and Silent Bob kind of movies hilarious, because I'm not rolling around. My first viewing experience was actually overly tame, and I thought it was a very boring movie. The more you know about movies and then go back and see that movie, the more enjoyable it'll be.
Yeah, they're kind of infinitely quotable in your group of friends, that kind of stuff. Like, the only exception to that, I think, might be Dogma. It's just such a fun concept.
Well, that, and everyone, I think, has had enough experience with religion to understand the jokes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas not all of us have worked in a convenience store. And it takes a certain amount of life experience to even understand why you hate a mall cop so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very much so. But yeah, he just, he had his, in my opinion, his finger on the pulse of this kind of geek culture before it became popular.
Yeah. How weird to think about that.
Yeah.
In those regards, because we really are more of a sport nowadays. And I mean, not even talking about esports, just video games in general have become very sporty to be into.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just always been a fan, and now I want to go watch Dogma. And Clerks 2. I like Clerks 2 quite a bit.
I mean, Dogma was the one that I watched the most. I think it was because of Alan Rickman, because I just love the guy.
Now that I think about it, actually, you're saying you're not rolling on the floor. The very first time I saw Clerks 2, I was in tears in the scene where it's a Star Wars prequel fan fighting with a Lord of the Rings fan. That scene had me in absolute tears.
Gosh, that stuff's weird to see these days. Like, Simpsons always made tons of jokes about the Star Wars and the Trek nerds getting in fights all over conventions, and you're like, that's probably an over. But no, I can go to any website and find that right now.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But you could probably also find an equal amount of people who like both.
Yeah.
No,
they're both so crazy different that I like both for different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's take some questions. You can send your emails to amovetv@gmail.com or tweet at us at GarrettArt, at Kyle Ferguson. At Disciple_Jeff asks, you are stuck at the top of an Olympic sled run. The only way down is to go on the run. You have two options, a luge sled or a skeleton sled. Which do you choose?
I'm assuming a skeleton sled is not a Tim Burton themed sled with bones for blades.
No. I thought a skeleton sled was the one where you're head first, but it looks like a luge sled you were also head first. It looks like you're head first on both of them.
Oh.
With my limited knowledge of any of this, they look like equally bad decisions. Skeleton sled looks a little more comfortable. I'll go with that.
Okay, I will too then. But luge, that's just dangerous.
It's horrendously dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. We haven't talked about. Cool. We haven't talked about. Do you watch the Olympics? Do you get into that at all?
No, I don't.
Oh no. Yeah. Okay. Luge sled, you lay, so you're going feet first, but you are both of these. You are prone, basically.
Okay, so that's the one where it looks like there's not even a sled there, and they're just laying down with their head kind of, their chin on their chest, looking at where they're going. Yeah,
I think I'd rather do luge in that particular, and if only because I spent so much time jumping into water, and I'm used to going down feet first.
Yeah, I think I'd want that too. Those things are really dangerous.
I really dislike the sensation of free fall. Extremely steep water slides scare the hell out of me. I'd rather do a roller coaster any day. I trust engineering more than I trust my body and gravity.
Well, the tide goes in and out. You can't trust water.
I mean, yes, you can, because you can chart lunar cycles and whatnot. But sure, I get your point. But yeah, no, I've never been an Olympics fan. I just tend to ignore it entirely.
Nothing against it, just how I choose to spend my entertainment time.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me. Harry O'Connor asks, hey guys, loving the show. My question, how old were you when you first got into video games, and what was the first game you played? I was 6, and it was Sonic 1 and Dungeon Keeper. I was so young, I don't remember. I couldn't read yet. But it was an NES, and it was the Super Mario Brothers / Duck Hunt split cartridge. Both games on the same cartridge. You had to select which game when you booted it up.
My friend had one of those, and I played it quite a bit. I mean, this is 6 playing Dungeon Keeper. That's really impressive. But then again, I have no frame of reference for how old a kid is when they're functioning. So I've been like, 8-year-olds, they're kids, right? And then you see them walking by, and you're like, holy crap, that's 8? Oh my, what's a 12-year-old? Oh my God, I thought that's what I looked like in high school. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I have no frame of reference for what is a normal age to even be reading. So in my head, I'm like 3, 4 maybe when I got it. But I was probably 4 or 5.
I was still struggling at reading, but that's my own personal story, right? By 8th grade, so.
Well, I did not take to reading particularly great either. Yeah, no. So NES, Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, and probably 5 years old. I don't know.
I had a Game Boy, and I had a Game Gear, but I wouldn't say I played video games until I got my N64 when I was 9. And because before that was just about like travel and probably keeping me quiet on a plane. When I got my N64, that's when it became about beating games. And also, they were just hard. Like, really hard. Most mobile games on a Game Boy or Game Gear were imported arcade games. Usually with, like, 3 lives max when you could normally put another quarter. They were just impossible. I remember my Empire Strikes Back Game Boy game was just stupidly impossible. And I didn't beat it for probably 10 years until after I owned it.
Yeah, I don't think I beat anything on Nintendo. I never beat Mario Brothers. Can you beat Duck Hunt? I don't even know if there's an answer to that. I'm sure you probably can, but I certainly didn't. And because I couldn't read at the time, I tried Legend of Zelda because my grandfather had a copy, and I hated it because I couldn't read. I was like, this game's stupid.
Yeah, I think we all hit that wall where we go, yes, check, check. Okay, yes, check, check. Where am I? What the hell's going on? And,
that's what happened to me in Zelda, yeah.
Diablo 2 again, and there's so many times where, well, first of all, that story is always bupkis. It wasn't that I didn't understand parts of it. It's that literally they're like, Tal Rasha, and then Tal Rasha shows up and he's like, Tyrael, and it's not Tyrael, it's not Tal Rasha. He's just in the body. It's the Lord of Destruction, Baal. But so you meet Diablo first, but you fight Andariel, and then you meet Tal Rasha, but you don't fight him until the expansion, who's actually Baal. And then you meet Mephisto third, but it's actually who you fight second. And then you eventually fight the first guy you met, Diablo, in the third act. And then you finally get to Tal Rasha, who's not Tyrael or... And I don't know like which reverse way he did the drugs in, but in the jail, he's kind of bony. But by the time he's outside the area crater, he's a Spider-Man. I don't, but I get it. You fall over and then the thorns grow out and you go, awaken my brother, and it's done.
I mean, is it important for you to even really know how you got there at the end of the day?
Not really, because it's an action game. But
yeah. I mean, you just keep going, right? I mean, with Zelda, the original Zelda on NES, I was just straight up lost. I didn't know where I was supposed to be going or doing.
Yeah. And I owned a lot of guides growing up because stuff was hard.
Yeah.
And
I didn't get into guides until N64, actually, for Ocarina of Time. And it wasn't Prima. I had the Versus Books version, which I picked up because it had more full-page art in it.
Yeah, I got all my Bradley Games ones here from Diablo and StarCraft and stuff like that.
Nice. But anyway, next question at Silanis is how I'm going to pronounce this. More for Kyle currently. As a guy growing my hair longer, I am having a hard time keeping it out of my eyes. How do you do it? Hats only go so far. My reply is, have you seen my hair lately? But go ahead, Kyle. Your hair is still significantly longer.
I mean, I do have, and thanks to these headphones, it does hide it, but I am currently wearing a hairband.
Oh, you're currently man bunning it.
Well, that's a bun. You know,
Okay,
this
so
is just merely
you're just straight up ponytailing it. You're just pulling it back.
not at all. No, this is merely like here. I won't be able to hear you, but it just goes on, and like you're not even wearing, like you don't have gel. It just holds like a headband, hippie style. I mean, if you really want to, you could wear it straight across your head like a hippie band, and that works. Like look in the past, look in medieval times, and then hippies. Both understood something. That long hair gets in your face, and you need either a fugly hat or a stupid hairband to keep it out. And those are your two choices.
At a certain point, yes, ties must be involved.
Yep.
Yep.
So I would say step number 1, are you in a relationship, and make sure they're okay with the look of the in-betweener. Because you're going to be in that a lot. You know, and if they can kind of, you know, slay the Spire graphics imagination over that, then you're good to go. Like Kristen doesn't care about the hair tie. In fact, she encouraged it and was like, listen, this is just simpler. And I'm like, I don't wanna. And it's just simpler because I don't want to have gel in my hair when I go to bed at night.
Yeah. I mean, product is the other answer, right? And depending on the consistency of your hair, mine is extremely thick. It is really important that I do something with it immediately leaving the shower. Because it will, however that it then dries, it will stay that way. Like it will stay in that direction no matter how much I move it or mess with it. So blow dry. I invested in a very good blow dryer so that I could direct my hair.
And that's important too. And finding the correct product for yourself is going to be a journey and a decently expensive one while you figure it out, because each one's going to react differently to you. If you have forehead sweat, that is going to get in there, and you're going to have to figure what you're willing to put up with for a day.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the longest I had my hair was basically to my shoulders. It was about 7 years ago. It was very long, and it was just in my face all the time, and I just kind of dealt with it. Once it got longer than my eyes, it didn't bother me as much because it wasn't poking me in my eyes. It was just kind of cascading over my face, and I could just push it out of the way.
Yeah, the most difficult time for me, and when I always have given up, is when it reaches the back of my neck and then curls out sideways in these little floops. And
get a straightener if there's not one already in your house. Your hair is relatively straight. It would take you like 5 minutes to correct that.
That's true. That probably would help.
I know it's you're a manly man, Kyle, but
no, that is ultimately the length where it's always in the mouth, and it's always gonna sneak in there, and you're trying to eat your cereal, and it's like, you want some of that too, and you're like, no. You got like a whole braces headset, broke your neck system in tow, so your hair doesn't get in your cereal, and it's intense.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. But yeah, it's the right tool for the job. Consider it.
And for me, I'm very picky about hair. It's always been very important to me for a look. And so I hold myself to the same standards I would hold those I'm attracted to. And that makes it difficult as well, because, you know, you look in the mirror and you're not attracted to yourself, for most people anyway, and you go, man, I look stupid. And your wife's like, you look great. And you're like, I'm trusting you on this. let's head out.
Yeah. This is why we're friends, by the way. Too much interest in our own hair. But best of luck in your endeavor to grow your hair out, Salanas. Best of luck. The in-between that's a hard hump to get over.
Yeah.
And for me, that again, it's eye. Once it's past the eye, I'm golden. I can stick with it. But all right, final question for today. We're gonna go out on a silly and fun one. At Drizzling Rose asks, best candy, chips, and ice cream. Basically, what is the best bad for you food?
Fried chicken has protein, so maybe that's not awful, right? I love fried chicken.
I don't think Rose asked about a favorite bad meal for you.
Okay.
I was going very like specifically. What's your favorite candy? What's your favorite chips? What's your favorite ice cream?
Gummies. I love Sour Patch Kids.
Ooh,
and I have found a corn syrup free one, but I'm pretty sure that my insides hate it. So we're currently undecided on that front.
Nice. Oh God, I just like candy bars, man. But I mean, if we can get fancy with it, my favorite candy ever is like from a place where it probably costs too much, like an actual like, what's the word I'm looking for? What is a Kilwins where they make candy there? What would you call that?
Like a confectionery?
Yeah, there you go. Like from a confectionery. Scratch made toffee is my favorite thing in the world. I love it. Growing up, my dad, runs an extermination company, so he's has a lot of different clients all over the place, and every year at Christmas, somebody would naturally give him like a nice box of toffee from like a fancy candy store, and that thing, no one else in my family would eat it. It would it would just be hiding in the refrigerator for months. And I would just be gnawing on that stuff for months. I loved it.
I like to imagine it's part of the montage from Ghostbusters where they come outside and he's got the candy on the rack and he's thanking him.
Yep.
As he leaves.
Pretty much. Yep. Pretty much. Yeah. Oh, I love me some toffee. As far as chips, you lived in Florida for a while. I don't know if it's not strictly a Florida thing, but they're readily available in Publix. The Dirty brand of potato chips.
I don't think I ever had those.
Well, they're kettle cooked. They're the first brand I could remember being able to find that did kettle cooked, and they're still the only brand I know of that does kettle cooked potato chips that does a sour cream and onion flavored kettle cooked. And those are my favorite chips ever. I would eat them until I was sick if I could find enough of them.
Kettle barbecue is definitely my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely on different. Barbecue is my take it or leave it flavor for chips. I don't strongly dislike it, but I will never buy it for myself.
I would say that barbecue becomes unacceptable if the chips are too hard. Particularly if they tend to form those chip balls that you have to work through. Like that's more of a sour cream and onion kind of, let me enjoy this flavor. The barbecue is more about a dispersion. You take a bite and then it sort of dissipates immediately.
Yeah. And then as far as ice cream, I like myself some chocolate chip cookie dough, man. It's like my go-to if I can't decide.
There is a Dove makes a ice cream where they put little chocolate hearts with caramel inside them.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was good. They don't make that non-lactose though, so I gave that up, and now
that's unfortunate.
Sherbets, but they still make. I think it's called like llama, something like doublehead llama or something. One of those northwestern hippie names.
You're making me think of my favorite Ben and Jerry's, which is Stephen Colbert's flavor, American Dream. It has the caramel swirls in it, and then actual pieces of waffle cone that are dipped in fudge just dispersed throughout the vanilla ice cream.
We actually bought that for ourselves because we saw him live in Tallahassee back in college. He did our homecoming, which was awesome.
Oh, that's freaking sweet.
Yeah.
That's badass. I'm jealous. But yeah. Well, wonderful. It's lunchtime, and now all I want is ice cream.
Effective.
Yeah. Thanks, Drizzling Rose. Thank you. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. If you want to email in, if you don't want to ask us questions on Twitter, amovetv@gmail.com is where you can send your email. Put Weeksauce somewhere in the title line. But before we go, Kyle, you do other things other than wake up early on Mondays and talk with me about nonsense. Where can people find the rest of your work?
That's true. You should find me. Let's do it. It's too awesome, so I got to share it. There will be Dungeons, the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons podcast on the Frog Pants Network. Check it out. We did episode 5 yesterday. We have finally broken the initial track. Quest 1 is completed, and we were given our first map at the end of the episode, and we're about to head out for grand adventure. In particular, I definitely want to give a shout out to, and let me grab Oddly Normal One, who did this insanely badass comic book drawing of our group.
I have seen this. It is indeed badass.
Like, we don't deserve to look this badass. We're rolling ones, we're falling over each other, but the imagination's a powerful thing, and damn, dude.
I just pulled it in. That's flippin' sweet, man.
Yeah.
I'm jelly. I mean, we got a pretty dope ass painting of our base from our campaign, so I guess I shouldn't be that jelly.
I mean, that's a painting. It's a mural.
It is this. It is this for anyone watching on video. That's what
it's
it is.
so great. But those are such Ben vines.
Oh yes. I love me some Ben vines.
Yeah.
Anyways, folks, I'm on Twitter at GarrettArt. All of the podcasts that I do are at emove.tv. Embrace the Spoilers is coming back this week to cover Black Mirror. And I'll also be guesting on the morning stream tomorrow, filling in for Brian Ibbett, who is apparently hanging out in my backyard in Orlando. So go check that out. Into the Nexus later this week. Angry Chicken tomorrow as well. All kinds of stuff going on at emove.tv, so go check it out. It's going to wrap it up for this week's Weeksauce. We helped you get your week kicked off. And until next time, good luck and have fun.
Whoa, I missed it.
You missed it? Oh, you missed it. All right, I'm going to kill the stream because Katie's home for an early lunch.